Brad Bernstein. I am the Bernstein in Spar and Bernstein. I've been here since 1993. I've helped over 75,000 people. Just as background, Spar is my grandfather, okay? He passed away several years back. He started practicing immigration law mid-1950s. There was no immigration law prior to 1953. Between World War I and the end of the Korean War, there was no immigration to America. They had so many bars on immigration, it was virtually impossible to come to America. It was in 1953 that they opened it up after the Korean War. That's why I can honestly say my grandfather was one of the first immigration lawyers here in America, because he started practicing immigration law back then. We don't live in the same country that when my grandfather started practicing immigration law in the 1950s. In the 1950s, 85% of the voters of America were white and here for multiple generations. We were not an immigrant society because the immigrants came in the 1800s. So the people who were here in the 1950s were here three generations already. Now we live in a different society today. We live in a multicultural society, which is what makes American society so great. Why does everybody want to mimic American society? Because we're the melting pot and we've put together a great culture here. This is President Obama's Dream Act. He calls it DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. If you came here before June 15, 2007, you were under 16, you were under 30 by June 15, 2012, you went to high school, you graduated high school, you're in high school, we're not going to touch you. And he invited people who were in this group to file an application with the Immigration Service to show you fall within this group. And when you fall within this group and you demonstrate to the Immigration Service you fall within this group, they send you back a letter. It's called the Deferred Action Letter. Deferred Action Letter says the U.S. government will not deport you, unless, of course, you commit a crime or something. President Obama eliminated the age for deferred action for childhood arrivals. It doesn't matter how old you are now, as long as you came here under 16 and went to high school here. He moved the date up to January 1st, 2010. So as long as you were physically living here by January 1st, 2010, you're in for your deferred action letter, your work permit, your social, your driver's license, ability to travel. Let me just take you a history of immigration numbers. Right after 9/11, President Bush said 11.7 million people here out of status. In 2005, 2006, you could say what you want about President Bush. In his second term, he was a friend to the immigrants. He did try to pass Amnesty. Couldn't get the Republicans to follow along. But at that time, he also said there was approximately 11.7 million undocumented people living in America. And when President Obama got on television on November 20th, first words out of his mouth, 11.7 million undocumented people here in America. And I'm sitting on my couch saying, wow, nobody's come, nobody's gone, nobody's died in 15 years. The same exact people have been here for 15 years. It hasn't changed. Crazy. So if the number hasn't changed in 15 years, I don't know where they came up with this number, but I know it's completely made up. What is the real number? Who the heck knows? Okay. Wouldn't surprise me if there's 11.7 million undocumented people in New York, tri-state area. Wouldn't surprise me if it's 20 million people in America, 30 million. You wouldn't shock me if you told me 50 million undocumented people in America. It wouldn't shock me. Okay, let's talk logically then. Okay. The U.S. government says 6 to 7 million people are going to be applying for these documents. They're basing it on their assumption that there's 11.7 million undocumented people in America. We have just gone through that number is a made-up number. We know that number is higher. How much higher, we don't know. My guess is it could be 8 million, 10 million. On a conservative guess, 10 million people could be possibly eligible for this program, maybe more. 3 years from now, you got 10 million people working. Now remember, you have a work permit now. 10 million people got their work permits. 8 million people got their work permits, whatever the number is. And they're fanning across America. Because you have a work permit now, you don't have to sit in Brooklyn and try to hustle on the street. You can go get a job anywhere you want. You don't like Brooklyn anymore. You don't like Queens. You like Iowa. You like the fresh air of Montana. Go. You like California, Florida. You like the South, the North, the East, the West, doesn't matter. And you got millions and millions, 8, 9, 10 million people working. On a conservative number, it's going to be much higher than that. Working at Fortune 500 companies, mid-sized companies, small companies, mom and pops. People started their own businesses and hiring U.S. workers. You're going to find an internet entrepreneur who started the next Google and became a billionaire out of this group, guaranteed. There's somebody out there with a great idea who just never was able to do it. And you're going to have a president, a new president, whoever that is, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. What president is going to stand up and say, you 10 million people, you're all fired. We're not renewing your work permits. Don't show up to work tomorrow because you'll be working illegally. Where are all these companies going to find replacements for you? Who's going to train these replacements for you? More importantly, where is the U.S. government going to replace your tax dollars? 10 million new taxpayers in America budgeting the deficit. Where are those tax dollars coming from? Fire 10 million people, you put America in a recession. Presidents don't get reelected in recessions. Presidents will not do that. And if you have a crazy enough president who says, I don't care, you're all fired anyway, you better have a plan to make everyone pack up and go. Because you're not going to fire people and say, we don't want your tax dollars, and we're going to put the U.S. economy in a recession, and you go hustle on the street again. Nobody would do that. They're only going to fire you if they have a plan to send you home. Where are these 10 million cops coming from to go arrest you? Where are the 10 million jail cells? Where's the airplane seats? Where are the judges to deport you? The trial attorneys? They don't exist. So even in your wildest imaginations, you say you have an irrational president who's going to do that anyway and throw the economy into the tubes. They can't deport you anyway, so why would they ever do that? So the only logical thing that any president can do, whether it's Republican or Democrat, is renew your papers. And quite frankly, almost everybody, I don't want to say everybody because there's always some bad apples in the group, but almost everybody is a decent human being. Most people are decent. And you're going to go out and people are going to fan out across America. And you're going to be working next to somebody in an office or on a job or wherever it is that you're working. And they're going to say, you're a great person. I never met anybody from your country before. You're lovely. You have lunch with them. Maybe you even socialize outside of work. And people start getting to know people that they would have never have met before. And then they're going to say in 3 years, how are they deporting you? I don't want them to deport you. You're nice. You're a good person. I don't want to lose my friends. So what will happen is the attitude of Americans are going to change as people fan out across America, and especially working in areas that didn't have immigrants before. And then what you're going to see is then there's going to be a legalization program. So that's my personal opinion.